In the early to mid-90s, Deathrow Records thrived due to Dr. Dre's musical brilliance and Suge Knight's savvy business sense. The dynamic duo led the West Coast to a dominant reign for several years, producing classic albums like The Chronic, Doggy Style, All Eyes on Me, The Don Illuminati, The 7 Day Theory, and The Dogfather. At its peak, the label generated over $150 million annually, an impressive feat, especially considering that Suge initially had no desire to start a record label, as he stated on BET's Deathrow Chronicles.
I didn't start off want to have a record label. I started off want to give artists and make sure they get decent record deals. I want to make sure they get their publishing. I'm going to make sure they get their due.
Dre was happy with his newfound fame and fortune, and with his working relationship with Suge, as he told in an MTV documentary.
Definitely great to be a black-owned company, making a lot of money, just living that life that everybody dreams to live.
While many artists in the industry were put off by Suge's notorious reputation, it is what attracted Dre to Suge. Dre believed that having a strong, ambitious business partner would make the financial struggles he dealt with before go away. He trusted Suge after getting him out of his previous contract with Ruthless Records, and based off of their mutual acquaintances. For Dre, who grew up avoiding conflict and violence, this seemed like the perfect decision to ensure he had control while staying out of the dirty work himself, as he stated in the MTV documentary.
He was aggressive, and he really seemed like a go-getter to me. Well, I was in the studio recording my Chronic album, and he was helping pave the way for that, and that's all I really care about.
However, despite initially being drawn to Suge's aggressive nature, Dre soon grew tired of his intimidating way, as he told in BET's Deathrow Chronicles.
When I saw an engineer get beat down, or rewinding the tape too far, that was like, okay, what are we doing here?
It was clear that the label was no longer fun for Dre, who valued his role as a producer and wanted to cultivate a creative environment where artists were encouraged, not beaten down for their mistakes. Suge had created a hostile and threatening environment, which made the lives of many of the artists, producers, engineers, and security that worked in the business a living hell. Label artists felt like they were walking a line, as Corrupt said in a 2023 interview with The Art of Dialogue.
So same thing with Deathrow, the head of our organization was gangster. You had to be G'd up, otherwise you gotta go. In the beginning, it was beautiful. Everything was beautiful. Then it got real. Dr. Dre's a businessman, man. He's about music and creativity. So once it became something besides creativity and good music and lucrative business to him, that's when it became, like, this ain't it.
Dre's growing discontent of Knight's perceived corruption and disorganization eventually led him to leave the label, as he explained in a 1996 interview with The Source magazine. It wasn't nothing that happened. Actually, it was just an accumulation of a lot of little shit, and it just got to the point where I wasn't having any fun at Death Row anymore. It's like I want to go up to the studio and work, and it's like 50 motherfuckers in the studio I don't know. They're all in your ear while you're trying to work, so I decided to bounce. Reggie Wright Jr. later recalled on Bomb First that Suge did not want Dre to leave Death Row, despite becoming 100% owner of the company. Jimmy Iovine, co-founder of Interscope Records, Death Row's parent company, was said to be the intermediary between Knight and Dre. Dre had approached Jimmy Iovine about his plans on leaving Death Row and wanted to start his own label. As Dre stated in a 1996 interview with The Source magazine, he was into it. He's not losing shit, so why not? I wouldn't have went anywhere else. I got mad love for Interscope. Me and Jimmy are cool. He pays what he says he's going to pay and does what he says he's going to do. And that's all I ask for. Don't shoot me no bullshit. According to Reggie, there was no dramatic confrontation between Dre and Suge as depicted in the 2015 biopic Straight Outta Compton. The whole process was conducted entirely through third-party communications, with Knight and Dre never speaking in person about Dre's departure, as Reggie stated in an interview with Bomb First.
Jimmy Iovine called Suge and said, hey, Dre is leaving. He want to leave Death Row. I'll help him get something started with Aftermath and, another label, which eventually became Aftermath. Suge said he could leave, but he leaving with nothing. He ain't getting 1 cent and will never get another penny from Death Row. And Dre was like, okay.
After linking up with music executive Jimmy Iovine, Dre founded Aftermath Entertainment in 1996, where he would go on to sign Eminem in 1998, who brought immense success to the label, with the Slim Shady LP going quadruple platinum and rising to #1 on the hip-hop charts. Aftermath's success continued, with the signing of artists like 50 Cent, The Game, Busta Rhymes, and more. Dre's new work environment clearly ushered in a new era of creativity within the rap and hip-hop world. Dre's immense success in comparison to the slow death of Deathrow Records, which was losing all of its most profitable artists, would end up fueling the feud between Knight and Dre. In 1997, Interscope ended its distribution deal with Deathrow Records, following Suge's conviction for a parole violation related to his involvement in the 1996 beating of Orlando Anderson at the MGM Grand Hotel, which resulted in the death of Tupac Shakur. Suge was sentenced to 9 years in prison, prompting artists like Snoop Dogg, Nate Dogg, and Michelle Lay to leave the label. In 2006, both Deathrow Records and Suge Knight filed for bankruptcy, which caused the label to be auctioned off for $18 million to Wide Awake Entertainment Group. The pair's feud escalated dramatically in August 2014 when Knight was shot at a nightclub. On August 25, 2014, Knight attended a music party hosted by Chris Brown at the One Oak nightclub, where he was shot 7 times. The rap mogul sustained severe injuries, including several blood clots that continued to trouble him for years. Despite the public nature of the incident, no one was ever charged with the shooting. However, Knight has since accused Dre for being responsible for the incident as he testified in court, stating, "I was told that he had paid some guys to harm me. I didn't believe it because authorities do lie. So I went up there. I was going to talk to him and say, hey man, I'm not going to react to what authorities say about you having something to do with me getting shot. I just want to make you aware they are saying this, putting it out there." The animosity between Dre and Suge appears to trace back to their split in 1996. Suge alleged that when Dre left Deathrow Records, he not only forfeited his 50% stake in the company, but also his publishing and copyright to The Chronic, and had a lifetime management deal in place. As Matt Reynolds of Courthouse News Service cites from the cross complaint, all that remained of their business relationship after the 1996 agreement was a lifetime management agreement that provided that Knight earned 30% of Young's entertainment earnings in perpetuity. The lifetime management deal implies that Knight is entitled to a portion of Dre's earnings from several major ventures, including the sale of Beats Electronics to Apple and the revenue generated from the 2015 movie Straight Outta Compton. It was rumored that this lifetime management deal is one of the reasons Dre never produced his much-anticipated Detox album, as it would entitle Knight to a share of the revenue. As stated in official court filings, Young did not wish to share another penny with Knight, even going to such lengths as refusing to record a new album to avoid sharing revenue with Knight. Former Deathrow Records manager Reggie Wright Jr. questioned such a deal in a 2023 interview with Bomb First, stating,
"How you gonna have a partner where you're getting 50-50 with, and then you're getting 20% of that 50%? I don't know, but..."
Reggie explained that such a deal was never formally documented during negotiations, but instead functioned as an implicit agreement solely on Knight's part. Dre has since proceeded to produce and release his third studio album titled Compton in 2015. The incident leading to Knight's murder case involving Terry Carter occurred after Suge discovered the film Straight Outta Compton would portray him negatively. Suge went to the set to confront Dre about the earlier shooting, but was met by security and escorted off the premises, which subsequently led to a fatal hit-and-run incident. This prompted Knight's arrest in 2015 following the altercation on charges of crashing his car into 2 men, killing his close associate Terry Carter, and injuring filmmaker Clay Bone Sloan. Bone would end up sustaining injuries which he eventually overcame, while Carter unfortunately died. Knight fled the scene at the time but later turned himself into authorities, claiming self-defense. In a 2015 interview with DJ Vlad, former NWA member DJ Yella said,
"Nothing new. All a person had to do was just not come by. You just shouldn't have came by. You wouldn't be in this mess."
Due to health complications, the trial was postponed to 2018, where Knight changed his plea from not guilty to no contest to voluntary manslaughter and was sentenced to 28 years in prison with no chance for parole until the year 2034. In 2024, during Dr. Dre's Hollywood Walk of Fame induction, Suge tweeted from prison, "All you boys, you're welcome. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, DJ Quick." Knight claimed credit for Dr. Dre's achievements and fame, asserting that he and his former Death Row artists should be grateful to him for their success. In a 2022 interview with The Art of Dialogue, Xhibit recalls the intensity of their feud.
It was a different time in LA. People was choosing sides, wasn't a great time, you know? Being caught up in that kind of stuff was kind of stuff we was trying to avoid, but it still happened anyway. It was some shit, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like, you know, Dre's best advice was, you know, that has nothing to do with you. Stay on the path that you staying on, you know what I'm saying? Be your best artist you can be, and that's it.
The feud between Dr. Dre and Suge Knight is still ongoing. Although both parties have moved on to different eras of their lives and careers, they both are still competing with each other to prove who came out better from their Death Row fallout.